and welcome to 4,000 and Counting. I'm Watty, this is Mark, and today we are joined by Liz. Liz is a specialist in mental health and mental performance. She does some work with the Manchester Storm as well as some other players in the Elite League. Liz, welcome to 4,000 and Counting. You come to us via a mutual friend in Dr. Victoria Silverwood.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. She pointed me in your direction, and here I am. Ready
Well,
to
it's
have a chat.
something that we've wanted to kind of put out there. We speak a lot about mental health on this podcast. Obviously, Victoria's been astronomical in having a real solid understanding of the concussion side and the mental health side, and we're big advocates of it. And obviously, with that being what you do, and within ice hockey, you're a natural guest choice for this podcast. So excited to see what you tell us. For people that are not familiar with yourself, you were an ice hockey fan first. You're a Panthers fan, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
So straight off the bat, all our Steelers lot are like, fuck her. Like, um, but no, obviously you do some work with the Storm guys. But if you want to tell us a little bit about your background and like how you got involved doing what you do, that'd be great.
So I come from a fashion background, so I worked years in fashion studies, but always had a hobby like a follow for ice hockey from like a young age. So growing up, I'd kind of go down the rink, watch a bit of games every now and again, but it was mainly only at Christmas because back then I just thought it only happened at Christmas because I live kind of out in the sticks. I'm not in like a city centre to go and hear about it. So I'd go like at Christmas with a few friends, go and watch the game, and then just got more and more interested in it. Just how the
So
game, just loved the speed.
Christmas is the big one, right? Panthers
Yeah,
Steelers normally around
Oh
Christmas,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I think we always lose over Christmas, but hey ho, it tradition if we didn't win.
Yeah, breaking tradition.
So then I got more involved in. I would find I'd be going more and more throughout the years watching hockey. And then one of my close friends, Warren, he was played for a rec team when I met him. But before he was telling me how he was training to go professional, but did his ACL in 3 times. So it was just before he got called up to be like go professional like the week before. So he could never like play to that level. But just speaking to him about like the well-being side of it, and I was like, I know he comes from a rec team, but I was like, is there any help for you? He's like, no, nothing really. I'm just told to like get on with it, and that's it. So then I found myself going to games and watching, but more as interest to see like why is that player doing this? Why is the coach doing that? Sort of watching the bench more, watching the players interact more. So if a team was losing, I'll see them like kind of backing off and thinking, why is this happening? What's going on here? So the more I spoke to like the players, I got a bit more interested. And then come lockdown, I was made redundant from my office job, just like a 9 to 5, mundane office job. And then I thought, right, I'm going to do it. Went back to uni, got a master's in sports and exercise science, specialising in sports psychology.
Good
But
for you, fair
before
play.
I just thought, what am I going to do in lockdown? I had no job, so I thought, right, let's go and do it. But I knew before going to uni to do the masters that I wanted to research mental health and well-being within British ice hockey. So not necessarily Brit players, but players that are playing over in the league and what help they were receiving, what sort of issues they were facing, what kind of comes in throughout the game, throughout the year, seasons, whatever, how many years they're here, and research that more and see why it was happening and what help was out there or what we could kind of do to help, sort of thing. And yeah, it all started from there, really.
What did you when you get this idea in your head? This is where you want to go. You go. You're doing your masters. You're planning on getting involved with ice hockey. What's the first kind of things that you're hearing from the players? Obviously, you talked about your boy there, Warren, who plays for the Rec. There's fuck all help. Definitely a Rec. Like you might get a can of beer. Like that's about it. But we've seen it go through Rec, ED1, ED2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, EP, I say EP. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it to the current NIHL two, NIHL one, and I'm showing my age. NIHL and Elite League. There's no one really doing these things. We spoke to Victoria about that. I spoke to you. We caught up last week, and we
Yeah.
spoke kind of like off air about it. this should be a full-time fucking gig for someone in the UK working for Ice Hockey UK 24/7,
Yeah,
365.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
I would love to see someone have I don't I don't know, it doesn't have to necessarily have mental health in the title or counselor in the title or anything remotely like that, but it just needs to be a number where guys can contact, they can reach out, and there's a lot of guys struggling, and I know because we've had them reach out to us, haven't we, Mark?
Yeah,
Like guys,
many
again, we
times.
talk about all levels, right?
Yeah,
Whether it be NIHL two or the Elite League, guys have spoke to us about it, and we can't forget ex players, ex pros,
Hmm.
guys that have been there, seen it, and done it, and probably played in a lot tougher era when it comes to physicality, when it comes to fighting, when it comes to toughness, and we've seen deaths of not in the UK, but in the NHL, Rick Rippon, Derek Boogaard, Wade Belak, in the UK with Pisey, Trombley, like the list goes on and on and on, sadly. Mental health's massive. The impact it has on society is massive. And this our sport, unfortunately, is no different. There is going to be plenty of people who are suffering. And this is an open shout out to you guys that are watching this, mate. I know some of you from Ice Hockey UK will be watching this. I know some of you from the EIH will be watching this. I know some of you from the SIH will be watching this. We actively encourage you to really consider putting somebody in that position. I don't think it would cost
yeah,
you that much money. I don't think anyone's going to come in and be asking for 100 grand a year to do the role. I just think if you put a good salary involved, I think you'd be surprised about how many guys would anonymously reach out. Obviously, in your role that you do now, we spoke again last week off you've got guys not only with the Storm but from teams elsewhere around the league from around the UK. If there was a straight 24/7 line, anonymous or not anonymous, not some guys don't mind talking about it, some guys don't mind being open and honest about it.
Yeah,
But how many phone calls do you think you'd receive in an 8 9 month season? I would bet it would be in the hundreds, if not maybe in the thousands.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I always say to the guys, like I always say to my clients, I'm if you need me at 3 a.m., call me. If you've got something on your mind, whatever time it is, whatever day it is, call me. Like I don't mind being woken up. I'm usually awake at 3 in the morning, funny
Yeah,
enough. But
normally
anyway,
working.
but anyway, like I say, if you need something, call me. Like I don't want you to be worrying about it all night, worrying about it all evening, or thinking, oh, it's like it's the weekend, it's a Saturday afternoon. Like I've got to wait till Monday. I don't work like that. Anytime, any day, get hold of me. And I think it's important that there's somewhere where someone can access the help when they need it. It's all good for saying like in the sport, there might be someone that might pop down, say every Tuesday or every once a month, like maybe a clinical psychologist. She might pop in or he might pop in once a month. But if the players or like the athletes don't have that problem at that time, or they're not ready to speak at that time, then they're not going to open up. It's no good saying, "Oh well, you can only seek this help every once a week or every once a month." It doesn't work like that. Mental health issues, problems, worries, they can arise at any time of day, any time of night. So
And
someone,
they can just come on like boom.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
You could
And
be on that
then
super high, couldn't you? And then
yeah, something could
off a
suddenly
cliff.
happen in life, and then you might need that help straight away, or you might see that person, the psychologist coming into the team, think, "Oh, I'm a bit worried. I don't want to speak to him in that moment." And then you try to gear yourself up to speak to that, get the courage to speak to him, maybe, and then they've gone, and then you're worrying about, oh well, I'm not going to see him for another 3 4 months or weeks or whatever, and then it gets more and more like the anxious worries, like worries come out. So I think there definitely needs to be like where can be somewhere where you can reach that 24/7 day night all the way and off season as well. Like
Yeah,
we think of it
100%.
in the season, but people struggle all year round. It's not just September till April. What about in the summer where they may be thinking about what am I doing now? Do I carry on playing? Am I retiring? I was injured. I don't want to be injured again. I've got concussion. All sorts of worries. Like over the off season, there needs to be someone or a team, like a big team of people that work off season as well that are contactable.
100%. You going back to your scenario there, where it's just that once a week. It might be the Tuesday practice, and whoever whoever the specialist is comes in. They come into the locker room and they maybe give a 10, 15, 30-minute speech to the boys. You might not want to get up in front of all the boys as they're leaving the room to follow them out to go and speak to them,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
the boys might be then like, oh, I wonder what's on with Joe Bloggs here, and
Mhm.
why is he gone after her? I wonder what fucking's going on. Whereas if you have that open line, they could ring you on a Monday. They could even wait until after that practice on a Tuesday, whatever. Get home, call you up, and have that outlet straight away. Have someone to talk to straight away. And it used to get kind of frowned upon. Like when I played, mental health wasn't really a thing. It would have probably been frowned upon if it was. Now it's a lot more open. It's a lot more honest. And ultimately, if players have somewhere to go and they have a way of unloading this, their performance on the ice is going to be better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen it with some of my guys at Storm that I work with. Even if it's just like little minor issues, like a confidence issue, they've gone from scoring, being the top scorer at the league previous, or they've played in Europe and they've come from a top line, and then they come into they play in Europe, they play here, and it's a completely different style of hockey. And they think, oh, my confidence, I can scoring, but I'm not scoring how I used to. Is it me? And then just like the little simple things of me, like speaking to him or giving like an intervention, a bit of coaching, you can see them improve over the season.
I think it's quite standard as well with that kind of, would you call it psychology? I'm not a very smart guy myself, but like in football, I know that sports psychology is very big, especially in
Yeah,
performance.
yeah,
Why I think that the elite league, certainly from a sports psychologist point of view perspective, would be to have guys like yourself to motivate the guys, and when there's certain pressures at certain clubs with expectations, performances can drop, and sometimes there's blame when actually we should be going around things in a different manner, and people like yourselves to motivate and kind of bring some energy out of guys when they're low.
yeah, 100%. And I find it as well with guys that play sometimes on a two-way. So they'll play at like the lower league, but they'll come and play in the elite league. Through clients throughout the league. This is not just at Storm, but they'll say like, "Oh, I'm not playing as good as such and such on that team," and I'll be like, "Yeah, but he's played probably the AHL in America for like 3-4 seasons. He's played in like AHL. He's played in like Swedish Hockey League. Like you're 20, you're 18, 19, 20, whatever. You're not going to be at his standard, so don't put too much pressure on yourself." But sometimes, they just need to hear that reassurance that they're looking around, maybe in the locker room, being told, "Oh, you've got to be as good as him," like peer pressure, whatever. So sometimes they need someone that's like an outsider to say, "Look, you're work to your ability, your performance today, and we'll keep working with you. We'll, with your coaches, whatever, we'll get whatever you need throughout the season." But it's just like that confidence boost as well.
Yeah.
I know from when I played, when you're low on confidence, I think I spoke to you last week about this. It's the fucking worst. The net gets 10 times smaller. Your hands feel like concrete. Every time someone passes you the puck, it bounces off your stick. You go to shoot a puck and it's a fucking muffin. Like you go to make a hit and your timing's off. Like it sounds like a minor issue, but we've seen it in sports of all level, whether it be international rugby, cricket, fucking ice hockey, motor racing, whatever it is. If the athlete's suffering from low confidence, it can make an A class player a D class player really fucking quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
Really, really quickly. Like
Yeah,
it's the worst because you know the abilities in there, you know the talents there, you know the work ethics there, but this little thing that's just going around in your brain Monday to Sunday, 24/7,
mm-hmm.
eats away at you and it doesn't go away. And it might be an imposter syndrome type thing. There's so many different angles where it could be. Where, in fact, as you say, you scored 35 goals last year. There's fuck all wrong with your talent. Like, there's nothing wrong with your ability to find the net. You can
Yeah,
clearly find the net. If you scored 35 goals in any season at any level, you're a good hockey player. But all of a sudden, as you say, it might get to Christmas and you've only got 11 goals and you had 22 at this point last year. It's easy to get in your own head. It's easy to get in your own kitchen. You
yeah,
might have, as Mark say, that little bit of external pressure coming on, whether it be through fans, whether it be through GMs, whether it be through coaches. And by the way, I'm not saying it's a free ride. If you're playing like shit and the coach needs to come and talk to you, it's a big boys game. Absolutely, you're going to get talked to.
Yeah.
But if your performance has been hindered by something up in your loaf that could be sorted with, and I'm not saying it's a quick fix. I'm not saying you're going to ring you up for 10 minutes and then you're going to go out and score a hat trick at the weekend. But like after a month of talking and getting all this shit off your chest, and the shoulders are a little bit looser, that goal gets a little bit bigger again. Your hands get a little bit softer again. You start getting some zip on the puck. You start nailing guys with hits. That could be the difference. But come playoff time, come now, Challenge Cup semi-final time this week. Right now, we're in the second week in Feb. This is the business end of the season. This is when you want your guys firing. This is when you want guys having zero confidence issues. This is when you want everybody firing on all cylinders, ready to ride it into battle. You've got 2 months left.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be massive for an organization. You might have 2 or 3 guys that are suffering low confidence issues. You might have 1 or 2 guys that are suffering personal issues, mental health issues, family issues, divorces, fucking separations, whatever it may be. Like, I think a lot of people do tend to forget these guys are human.
Yes, they've got
they have shit going on outside of the ice rink, and the ice rink's a part of their life. It is their job, but it's no different from anybody else having mental health or confidence issues in any other walk of life, whether it is fashion, whether it is the pub industry, whether it is fucking taxi drivers, whoever it is. Everybody suffers from the same things mentally. I think we need to humanize the guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a long fucking season. You take Cardiff and Sheffield this year, they've had the 8 extra games in Europe. They've both then qualified for the semi-finals of the Cup. So already Cardiff and Sheffield, having played against each other both legs, have played 10 more games than the rest of the league.
And that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's 20% of the season. It's a 54 game season plus Challenge Cup. They played 10 games more. That's like 20% of the season more.
Crazy when you think about it. And the pressure as well at playing at that level in a
100%.
European competition as well. Because not.
Right, so I've been seeing in the news recently a lot about inheritance tax and people getting screwed by the government. What can you guys do to stop that happening to people's well-earned money?
So any policy with us, we would suggest strongly that you put it in a trust. What that does is separates it from, ring fences it from any inheritance tax, so that anything you leave behind in a lump sum wouldn't be touched by the government. Lord knows they take enough of our money.
Yeah, they do it all our lives, and then they want to do it in death as well. Am I right in thinking not everybody can get life insurance? There is some sort of reasons where you can't.
Yeah, there are some conditions, some where you just can't be insured. Generally speaking, the best time to do it is when you're young and healthy. Now, you can't predict the future, obviously. However, if anything has changed in your situation, if you've had children, if you've moved house, if you've been promoted at work, it's very advisable to review your cover to make sure that you're covered for your new salary, your new mortgage, and everything that comes with it.
As you've seen from my chat with Richie there, former junior teammate of mine, super easygoing guy, straight to the point, helps you out. There is no obligation at Easier Life. They will look at your cover. There's no obligation, so like I can't stress that enough. They're not forcing you to do anything. They just want to get the best cover in place for you. So contact details are on the next screen here. Easier Life, scan the QR code, send them an email, give them a phone call. They will be sure to help you out, get the best deal.
Right, ladies and gents, it seems we've lost Liz. She will dial back in and we'll get her on the go again. But while we're waiting for that, Mark, is there anything you've taken away from the start of this conversation so far?
I just think another very important topic to discuss, because I think it gets left out a lot, about the well-being of players.
Yeah.
I really do think we don't speak enough. I know, normally we throw criticism at players or praise, but at the end of the day, like you just touched on there, it's about the human being. So I think that to speak about this will make other people sort of understand the kind of pressures that a sports professional goes through.
Well-being, by the way, was the word I was looking for in my brain earlier. Thanks. Yeah, Liz is back, folks. Just as you left there, I was just asking Mark, if there's anything he's taken away from the conversation so far, and he was just talking about the importance of like the well-being of players. When I introduced you earlier, that was the word. I was trying to say well-being, and I couldn't think of the word for the life of me. It doesn't necessarily have to be about mental health or confidence, does it? Like there could be a whole array of issues that having someone to talk to will help.
Yeah, I find as well a lot of it, say the international guys coming over, it's a simple thing as what do I buy from, like, where's the nearest shop, where's the nearest supermarket, what can I get? Like, I need this sort of food, where can I get that from? How do I pay bills over here? How do I get the train somewhere? There's like, it's little simple things like that that we take for granted because we've always lived here. But for guys coming in that are international, like,
Yeah.
just really little simple things like that. Also settling in a new town, in a new city, in a new country, because some of them, their English might not be their first language.
Well,
So
we
that can
had we had Tansy on, Kev Tansy for Sheffield Steelers, maybe 2 weeks ago. If you haven't listened,
yeah,
guys, go check it out after this one. He talks about it from the opposite angle, being Canadian, going to Europe, going to
mhm,
4, 5, 6 different places across Europe. You don't speak the language. You don't know where the grocery store is. You don't know how to call a cab. You don't just like stupid shit like you
yeah,
take for
look,
granted.
yeah,
But actually, as you say, that if we got a Slovak here that's got 4 words of fucking English, having someone he can go to just get some help, to it's going to make him settle in better. It's going to make him feel more at home. Again, we go back to it. It's going to make him perform better.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. It's all about like the performance, and if they're not happy at home, if they're not here, happy living here, like living conditions, whatever, like as in the minor things, it all that's another weight that they're worrying about where they're playing, and
Well,
it's something to
Fife,
use that.
Fife
And
lost the 4 Kazakh boys this year, didn't they? Fife brung
yeah,
4 Kazakhstani lads in. The first 2 went, couldn't adjust to the lifestyle, were struggling with the language barrier. I just wonder if they have something in place, maybe in the league or within each individual club. Maybe those guys are all still here. Maybe they're all still playing. Maybe Fife still have their 4 Kazakh guys. Like, I'm just using them for example. Some might got sacked, some might left, whatever. But like the point being, like you've got such a difference in culture between fucking East Coast of Fife and
yeah,
Kazakhstan. Like it's worlds apart. It is going to take some, and some of them boys are relatively young. Like they're not, I'm 38 now. Like I'm way on the other side of this. But some of those guys that are coming over are 22, 23, 24. They're still fucking babies, really. Like they're new into like senior hockey. They might have been playing for 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Some of them are just out of junior. They might have had a year in Hungary. They might have, do you know what I mean? Like they're not always going to be established, well-traveled veterans like a Kevin Tansey who's been 6, 7 leagues, played in the A, played in the coast. Bit different from those guys than it is maybe a 22, 23-year-old guy who's homesick. His missus is still at home. She didn't get to travel. Like there's a lot of determining factors, and having someone involved in well-being, involved in mental health, involved in sport performance, psychology can only be beneficial. I'm gonna, sorry, you're gonna get bored of me saying performance today, folks. But ultimately, all of this is geared towards performance and having your athletes in the best physical. Like we have personal trainers, we have fucking strength coaches, we have video coaches, we have skill coaches. It's a natural progression to expand. And you're not. I don't imagine you're alone in wanting to help improve this situation. I don't imagine you and Victoria are the only 2 smart females that are interested in the female game. I imagine there is plenty of people, like you said, in the off season. Let's build a team. Why not?
yeah,
Let's fucking build a team.
yeah,
Um, these conversations are going to go a long way to starting that happening. I truly believe that. This is why we have you on here. We are a players podcast. We want the best for the players, and ultimately for the owners. I know you guys are going to have to spend a few quid, but it's going to come back to you in spades. It's going to come back to you in results. It's going to come back to you in victories. which is going to come back to you in fans coming through the door, buying merchandise, buying 50/50s. Like, the better your team performs on the ice, I don't care what you say, everybody watching, you're all fucking fickle. If your team lose 7 straight, maybe you don't go on Saturday because you can't be asked. If your team wins 7 straight, you don't want to miss a game. You don't want to miss a thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Basingstoke, and I only use that from personal experience of being in Basingstoke. Basingstoke fans were the most fickle bunch in the world. When they're winning, damn, that place was packed out and it was loud. But if they were losing, you could watch a 2, 3, 4, 500 sometimes drop off in attendances. And again, if that's happening because 3 of your top 7 players have got confidence issues, have got well-being issues, and have mental health issues, it's something that could be solved. And it could be solved with people like you, no pressure or anything. Like, no pressure, mate. But like, there's a lot of smart cookies and like, so if you were to say build a team of like-minded professionals, is there anyone? Obviously, Victoria shouts you out. Is there anyone you would shout out that perhaps I haven't heard of, Mark hasn't heard of, the UK hockey public haven't heard of yet?
I was just saying, like, was speaking off air about what Nick Rothwell's doing as well, trying to set up that as well. So I just think the more people involved. I mean, I only know a few people in ice hockey because, to be honest, when at my uni course, everyone was into football. And you can look at a Premier League football team, and they've got 3, 4, 5 psychologists. They've got like everything. And even speaking to the guys, the international guys, they'll say, "Oh, when I played in Sweden, we had like 3, 4 to a team. We had like strength, everything. Same in America in some leagues, and then they come here. There's nothing here. And why is that? Like, if we want to attract players through other leagues, top players coming from top leagues, top teams, why is UK ice hockey not offering that? It's just going to attract more guys coming here as well. But we need like doctors as well, like proper healthcare professionals. I'm not trained in like mental health as such. If there's any serious mental health issues, I reach out to a clinical psychologist, a doctor, sort of thing, that I can get hold of, like refer the players on. So we need people like that as well, doctors, even nurses, like everybody, like a good team of well-being professionals that specialise in different things as well.
If you look at it, we are, I believe the statistics came out that we were the 5th biggest sport within the UK in terms of like traffic fans. I can almost guarantee, well, Sheffield have 9,000 through the door, Belfast have 6, Nottingham have 7, whatever. Like we go on. How many doctors and nurses and fucking healthcare professionals? And there's a lot, because do you know what? That's a lot of the UK job market is people involved in that. So naturally, in your fan base, there are going to be people. And I'm sure if the league came out and said, look, we're looking for X, Y, and Z, you would have hundreds of fans across the UK that are in these positions on their day jobs who would be more than willing to help, who'd be more than willing to give up their time. And again, we talk about building that team of people. You just got to put the information out there. And if it's something that, you feel you're good at, I know that when the EIH were looking for a board member, it's actually going to end up being a fan of the sport. He was a fan of the Cardiff Devils for maybe, say, 20 years.
Yeah.
But now, like, he's a lawyer, like a shit hot lawyer as well. That's his day to day. But he's now going to give his time back to be on the board, to give his profession to the board. And we're going to get to capitalize on that. Well, what's to say it's not a doctor? What is to say it's not a healthcare professional, as we spoke about previously? They would still be willing. We just got, I think, step one, ask for help, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's no harm in reaching out, asking for help.
And I think clubs in the UK, boards in the UK would be shocked by how many people would come out of the woodwork willing to help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I created this role myself. Like, I approached Staunton, mentioned in a talk with them when I was doing my masters. It was looking into like British ice hockey, looking at like a players' union because some you
Yeah.
find like the payments all different. We won't get onto that because that's a completely different story altogether. But anyway, it's just happened by chance that I mentioned that I was interested in doing the wellbeing and the mental health side, and I was asked to by Finners to go and see the team, and I kind of create my own role as a wellbeing consultant. And now throughout the league, I created that role because there wasn't a role that I know of anybody doing this. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it then. I'm going to create my own role, and I'm going to start doing it. And that's what we need to do. People that want to get involved. Let's make a team of
Fair
it.
play to you.
Let's help. The help needs to be there. Even through my research within my dissertation, and that was only a few players that I touched on, and it was only players that I knew through Nottingham, and a few of their friends that played abroad or whatever. But that was only 6 people that I interviewed, and the what they were speaking about in that, like the problems arising within ice hockey within the UK, and as in not problems as in like mental health issues, well-being issues, all that. That was only from 6 players. So if you look across how many players we've got, not just in the elite league, in all leagues of hockey, that's thousands. And we're saying that there's like none of them have problems, none of them are like absolutely fine playing. Definitely not. If you go into like a workplace or a school and you take like 20 kids, there's bound to be at least 10 of them that are facing some sort of worry, anxiety, minor mental health, serious mental health issues. And you telling me there's no one in the British ice hockey that aren't facing that? Absolutely, it's just rubbish. So if the governing body or whatever kind of thinking, oh, we don't need this role, we 100% do, because where are players going to turn to? What are they going to do for help? There needs to be something.
And having conversations like this is really important. It's raising the topic. And honestly, Liz, I think your story in itself could inspire so many people listening to this and hopefully create something in which it might have to start with volunteers, before people are going to start getting paid. But from these
Most likely.
conversations, people hearing how you got into your role with the Manchester Storm, you're going to get people like what he said that are going to come out of the woodwork and are going to offer their services and are going to be more than willing. So I take my hat off to you for everything that you've done. And honestly, I think it's going to hopefully inspire a lot more people to come through and treat this kind of service as such seriously.
It's not for people, I want to say as well, not for people that are offering help. It's also to people, players, like family members, wives, girlfriends, parents, brothers, sisters listening and thinking, yeah, my mate's playing hockey, my brother's playing hockey, my sister's playing hockey. I've seen them not being the self quite recently. The players themselves listening and think, I can speak about. I've got a worry. Like I always say to the players, whatever is on your mind, speak about it. I don't judge. I don't hold anything against them. Like what they do, what happens is it's all acceptable in my view. Like no problem we can't try and solve. There's nothing that you need to be ashamed of by telling somebody. The more it's spoken about, the more mental health is spoken about, the more it's treated how it should be and accepted. It should be accepted. We don't want to look at someone and think, they've got an issue, they shouldn't be playing. Like, it's no different from looking at someone, say, with a cough or a cold. We're not going to judge them any differently or treat them any differently. So why should it be with mental health? It needs to be acceptable for guys, girls, everybody to speak about it, and that discussion going more and more and getting bigger and bigger.
You touched on the girls there. Obviously, in the ladies' game, you're going to see women taking a year out to go have babies. We know how postnatal depression can be and stuff like that. And you step out to have a baby. You were first line centre from 3, 4, 5 seasons. Now all of a sudden you come back after a year off and you're on the third line. That might be a lot to get your head around.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your fault you had a baby. Like, you had a baby. Like, it's not your fault that you've dropped down the lines. But times change, your team changes, whatever. And that might be something you really struggle with. Or I know many girls are playing abroad and coming back to represent GB. As much of an honour as it is, it can be a grind. If you're at college in the States and you're getting to March, May, and you've got your exams and all that sort of stuff, but then you have to take a week off to go to a training camp in Sheffield and then fly back to the States, to then fly back to the UK, to fly out to Slovakia or Italy or France or wherever the world is that year. That's going to take a lot of toll on you, not only physically and the travel demands, but mentally. It's going to be draining. You're already going through exams. You're in the last year of school. Like, having someone to turn to is going to be massive for the women's game as well.
Definitely. Like for every game, even like juniors coming up, like getting on at school, they might have little issues at school. There might be bullying going on at school, like things that we don't think of, or things are going on that we're not aware of. Um, and I think as well, if kids growing up playing hockey and think, yeah, it's acceptable for me to speak about my mental health. If I'm having a bad day, I can openly say I'm having a bad day, and no one's going to judge me, or not going to be dropped from the team, or not going to be like outcasted. Like they need to see more of that rather than it still being kind of like, oh, we don't speak about that in here, or we don't want to share our problems. It needs to be more accepting as well, and younger kids need to see that. So grown up, they can see it's more acceptable.
Why do you think it still can be by some viewed as a little bit of a taboo subject?
I think maybe like a fear of being judged. So you might have a guy with like a alcohol addiction or drug addiction, and you just think, oh look, he's taking drugs, whatever. Like with I'd take an instance to say the film Train Spotting, and you just think, oh, heroin addicts, look at them, but you don't realise why they started taking the drugs in the first place. What led them? People don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to shoot up, or I'm going to take a load of drugs. There must be something that's happened in their life that's made them turn that way. It may be like they've got that much going on in their head. That's the only way they can block that out. So we shouldn't be judging when we don't know what's happened in somebody else's life to get them to do that.
That comes back to humanising the players again, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we see these players playing on a Saturday night, Sunday night, and they're on the magazines, on the website, but we don't realise that those guys are just like us. They have families, they have friends, they have problems, they have things going on outside of life. They have the same worries that we do, money worries, issues with family, fallouts, name it. They've probably had it or feeling it as well. Like, we're all human. We all suffer like the same. We all encounter different problems at different times in our lives. We're all the same people. Like, we all deal with everything going on, especially the world how it is today. It's just it's completely normal. Like suffering from a sore throat and a cold, say.
Yeah,
it's just
that. We touched on the obviously the men a little bit on the ladies, but there's a certain four people every game that probably have the hardest gig of everybody. The fucking officials, man. And no matter how much you try not to read social media, it's gonna come at you. It is gonna come at you, and the amount of abuse that the officials get. Granted, could they be better? Yeah, they could be better. There's, judging their performance is completely different to judging them as human beings. Not many of you fuckers know the referees and the amount of stick they get. And the one that gets me the most is when you bring a person's integrity into question, i.e., James Irons and Stevie Matthews support Swindon. No, they fucking don't. No, they don't. They don't care if Swindon wins. They don't care if Swindon fucking loses. They couldn't give a shit. They call a game, and I see it like this. Like in the UK this year, I've only really been to Mark. We went to Scotland, didn't we? So we were Fife and Dundee. So we saw Belfast, and then been to Cardiff, Sheffield, Cardiff, Sheffield. I've been to Guildford versus a few teams, and you sit in the crowd and you listen. I'm an ex-player. I've played over 600 games. I'm a coach. Actually, I did have my referee's license when I was way younger, like way young guy. So that might be an exclusive for some of you listening to 4,000 from the start. You probably didn't know that. I was fucking dreadful, by the way. Let's get that on record. Being a ref is hard, and I was refing like U15 and rec games, and it's fucking hard. Call a penalty, and I'd be like, "Who did I call a penalty on? Jesus, they're all skating around so fast." Like, it's like, "Yeah, it looks like you. You're good enough. Go in the box." He was like, "It wasn't me." I was like, "I don't care. Just go in the box. One of you's got to go." But you try and do that at elite league level when guys are flying around out there, and you're trying not to miss a beat, and you try to see what all 10 guys on the ice are doing. You try to watch. There's a goalie going for a delayed penalty. You try to watch everything, right? It's a hard gig, and they stick those boys and girls. There's a couple of ladies officials in the league now as well. Get on a weekly basis cannot be good for their mental health, and these guys and girls aren't getting rich. The money they get paid to officiate is fucking dog shit. It's so bad, and then they have to. I had a conversation with a GM this week, and I said back in our day, it would be water cooler talk at the office, or someone might approach you in a bar, someone might approach you out at the shop or whatever. But for you to hear the stick that you would get, it would be rare, it'd be few and far between, and generally in person, people are fucking shitbags. So it really wouldn't happen. Whereas now, the game might not even be finished, and you're just getting pelters on 45 different social media sites, and you're getting tagged in this, and you're getting slated in that. That is a tough go round, let me tell you.
Yeah, I've heard some in my time, like pretty much most games, like you hear it, the refs are shit, whatever. But I couldn't do their job. There's no way I could do their job.
But
You need to have eyes everywhere, and it's just not possible. Like to
yeah,
see what's going. It's just and the stick that they get, and also the players through social media, through fans, and it's like you're not. Would you actually say that to their face if you met them? Probably not.
nope.
So why shout it? Why put it on social media? Why do it?
The one that gets me at the moment, my favorite one at the moment is Aaron Fox out. Foxy's fucking shit. He's terrible coach. That's the same guy, by the way, who like lost 7 games last year in regulation, who won 3 trophies, who took an elite league team way further in the Champions League than previous seasons, who beat Pardubice, who beat Prague, sorry, who beat AIK, who beat Vaxo Lakers. But they have 3 bad results. This guy's a prick. He's fucking shit. He should be out. Like, what? Have a word with yourself sometimes before you
Yeah.
get on before you get online. Have a little think and think. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying do not have an opinion. Let's get that straight. I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm not saying be in a happy clappy brigade. But sometimes just have a little think before you post. Think back 12 months. And as I said to the GM this week, they want these coaches out. And okay, brilliant. Who are you bringing in? Because they don't think of that. They don't
No.
fucking think of that. Like, who are you bringing in? Are they as good? Is their pedigree as good? Is it going to take them 3 seasons to get the team where they want them? Are you going to have to go through 2 or 3 losing seasons while they build what they want? Nah, just get them out. Like, and it's again, it's just so easy to jump online, jump behind this. We've actually started saying on 4,000 counting. If you post something and you don't have a proper, if you post like Joe blogs and you've got a picture of a fucking cat as your profile, I just delete and block you from the page now. I like done. If you come on with a valid point and it's Mark and Liz and I can see your profile and you say like good talking points, even if I don't agree, never delete them ever. I don't have to agree with you, but what I won't have is this anonymity of you coming on and just like verbally assaulting players, verbally assaulting officials, people that you don't actually know, people that I do know. You question their integrity. I know these people. They're good people with good morals, and to hear them get like bad mouth like that, it's tough. It's not only like tough on them as individuals, but they could have kids at high school. Those kids are gonna fucking read that. They don't want to be reading that about their mom or their dad. And there's a massive window of people that you don't think about in that moment where you hit that send button and just take a second, take a step back. Would you like it if every time you fucked up at the office, 10,000 people across the country went online and told you what a piece of shit you were? I can guarantee the answer is no, you would not like that. It would ruin you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It would ruin you. Just because they're hockey players, they're big tough boys that jump in front of pucks and stupid shit with limited kit on. I get it. Like, doesn't mean that they don't have these other things in their life. And I would actively encourage every player not to read the comments. But it's very difficult when it's just 24/7 and you're getting tagged in posts and nature of the beast in the world we live in now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's on social media. It's just got sometimes a bit out of hand because people think I can write what I want, and no one's going like I can target somebody, like I can say what I want. It's not going to affect him. It doesn't really matter. And that person at home could read that, and that could be that one thing that they've said. That could be the thing to tip them over the edge. You don't think about it.
Do you ever find that players reach out to you because of toxic social media?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. Especially if they're like the team's had a loss or something like that. Not just talk like all the teams in the elite league. Like I said, I've got players throughout the league, and if they've had a few games where they've lost, it's the worst team going. Their players are awful. This, that, and the other. You name it, people have said it. And then the guys are sat at home and reading that, and they're thinking, "Am I that bad? Should I be playing hockey?" I mean, I've had some that have thought, oh, "Should I give this up because of the comments that I've read?" And that shouldn't be the case. Like, what?
No.
I wouldn't go into somebody's work and start going, "Oh, you're not stacking the shelves properly at Aldi." Like, do that properly and start calling them names. Like, so why do it to someone on the ice that you don't know? You don't know what's going on. If they're having a bad game, they could be having a bad game. They could have something else going on in their head. And why are we saying that to them?
Sorry, I was just getting texts from the potential new Fife owner. They're coming through right now. So yeah, keep a little eye out. We might have a little 4,000 and counting exclusive going on in the next few days here. With the like the negative stuff we talked about, obviously doing something what you do can have positive. So what's the kind of positive things that you've seen going on since you came in and created this role for yourself?
Just the guys getting better, like playing better, like we touched on. Like, if they're getting the help they needed, like for anything, they're playing better. The team are doing well. There's a happy locker room. The fans are happier. It's just all like around better environment for everybody. And just
Well,
I could
sorry.
just walk in the room and just have someone like they just need someone there. They need someone to talk to, or it could be about anything, like literally anything. They might be having a bad day. They might have had a bad drive to work. They just want a quick 20-minute rant about it, and just having someone there that they can speak to. They're not going to go to the coach. They're not going to go to the equipment manager, maybe. Just being there and just seeing them get better.
Liz, how
Helps.
can people get in touch with you if obviously we have players at all levels um, watching this podcast, listening to this podcast? How can people reach out? How can they get in touch with you? How can they contact you and make sure that they're getting the care they need?
On Instagram, on Liz Stewart Wellbeing Consultant. That's what I'm on the Instagram.
There you go.
So they can send me a private message in there. That's completely fine, and then we'll go from there.
Would you like to see more clubs kind of use your service? Obviously, you're going to say yeah because it's your job, but like from again going back to like a player well-being and performance aspect, would you like to see more clubs on the back of this kind of reach out to you and just at least inquire about your services and what you could do for them?
Yeah, definitely. Because as well, I think there's a kind of a bit of a stigma about saying like a wellbeing consultant, a sports psychologist. I don't go in there and say that guy's having an issue, he's not playing, or you shouldn't be coaching like that. You shouldn't be doing this. Like I don't, the coaching. I don't get involved with any of the coaching. That's down to the coaches. But just having someone there that the players can reach out to, then they might not want to speak to like the storemates, the like each other. They might not want to talk to the coach. nine out of 10 times, they're not going to speak to the coach because they think, oh, I'm going to get benched, whatever. But I'm there to help the team. I'm there to help the players. I'm not there to, stop the team winning because the guy's not feeling like he can play. I'm there to support and help the team get to where they need to be and just have a positive effect on everything. It's never anything negative. Like
Something you said there is quite interesting. Have you come across any situations where player X is struggling so badly that perhaps you did advise them or the club or something that maybe a little garden leave of a week or two or something would be beneficial for the long-term season?
It's if I came up with that, if that was something that I faced, then yes, I would. Because I have a duty of care to the player to say, look, this guy isn't fit. Maybe he's had a head injury and is fit to play with concussion after his protocol is finished. Say he's out for 5 weeks, or or even a broken arm, say, or shoulder, whatever the incident, and he would go out there. I don't want to get injured, or I'm not in the headspace. I would say that's if the player needs rest, he ain't going to play, and I would be hoping that the GM, the coaching staff would respect that and say, okay, we'll play somebody else and let him sit out, let him take the time that they need.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. That's perfect because as hockey players, we're our own worst enemy. We'll play through anything. We're fucking stupid. Like we are. Like I broke my hand on the Saturday, went to A&E, got casted, sat in A&E till like 1 o'clock. They put a cast on, woke up on Sunday morning, cut it off and played. Like, and don't get me wrong, we did have some people in and amongst it, like our physios and stuff, going, I think that's a really, really bad idea. But there was no one that actually went, Watty, you're not fucking playing, go and sit in the stands. Like, because when the GM comes and says, you're done, you're not. I've spoke to Liz, this is what we think this is going to be better for our team. This is what's going to be better for, like, the time that we talk about now, that 2 months running. Had that been, say, September, I could have ended up doing myself a massive injury. As it was, when I did that, I was playing for the Bees. We were in the battle for the last playoff spot, and it was like coming into March. Like it was business end of the season. If I sat out until my cast came off, the season would have been done.
Mm-hmm.
In my illogical brain, I was like, well, it's still going to be broken in April, and then I've got 5 months. I could let it heal then. It was probably a bad decision because I made that decision as a 23-year-old. Now I've got hands that look like that, breaks there and arthritis in my hand. And, when it's cold weather like this, I'm on the struggle bus. Perhaps someone could have saved me from myself.
Yeah. It may just need an outsider to say, look, this isn't a good idea. Like you need to have a day out, a week out, a month out, whatever. Because what happens if you do more injury and that's your professional career done with, and you can't play again because the injuries got worse because you didn't listen or whatever, or they think you're okay to play. Oh yeah, he'll be fine to play, but mentally it's not, and then something happens. Like we just need to. I'm there to help, not to stop, or I'm there to support, should I say. I'm there to support the team, the guys, everybody involved.
Is there anything else you want to discuss before we let you go?
I think I've covered. I mean, I talk forever, so I can talk. I can go on and on and on all night, which people don't want to listen to me talking forever.
But
no, just
obviously,
the help's there, and there should be help. Like we need to get that out there. That this needs to change. That there needs to be help for players, all levels, not just the elite league. All players throughout hockey, men, women, kids, everybody, and they just need to know that. To everybody listening as well, whether you don't play professional hockey, you're not an athlete, whatever, but you're suffering with a mental health issue or something that's worrying you, it's okay to speak out about it. Like, even if you just call your friend up after you listen to this podcast and say, "Look, mate, I'm struggling with whatever. Can we have a chat?" Or you phone your friend and say, "Oh, something's not quite right here. Do you want to meet for a coffee, drink, whatever?" We need to make it more acceptable that speaking about these issues is acceptable and should be talked about more. That's all really I want to say.
Mate, you nailed it. Mark, anything else from you?
No, nailed it there.
Well, ladies and gents, this has been 4,000 counting. As I said, EIH, SIH, Ice Hockey UK. If you're listening, please just give Liz a call. And I'm sure the game in the UK would benefit. As we've said before, Dr. Victoria Silverwood's there, Mr. Nick Rothwell is there. There are people within the game that are willing to help. And we, as a podcast, just want the best for the players. We want the players to be performing the best they can and to be delivering what they know they're capable of on a weekly basis, on a nightly basis, game in, game out. And people like yourself are going to go a long way to help that happening. If you haven't already and you're new here, folks, please hit that subscribe button. Check us out on social media. We have loads of episodes between now and playoff finals weekend. We got our boy Mark here has been lining interviews up left, right, and centre. We got busy week at 4,000 Counting Towers next week. We're in Berlin for road tripping. We're going to be seeing our boy Mr. Liam Kirk in action Friday, Sunday. But yeah, ladies and gents, this has been 4,000 Counting. We will see you for another episode very, very soon. Peace.